Coming up this week on Unpicked.
God, can I at least let me do a trigger warning?
Trigger warning. She's quite attractive. Other than her mentality. No, maybe women love to see other women be hypersexual.
People don't have as much issue with it when the men are doing it, but when the women are doing it, all of a sudden it's, why is she taking that route? Why can't she take another one? Why are we prescribing the route that she's chosen?
Wagwan peeps, it's Venom, what you saying? Alongside my home slice, Dammy to the Zane. When she and I get together on the poddy, ask anybody, the vibes are insane.
Join our family and feel free to come by. We on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Yeah.
New drop on the way every Monday at 6.
Tune in and come see what we unpick.
Hey, hello, hi peeps. It's your home slice, Dammy Zane in the building, and I'm here with my co-host Venom.
Hello, what's going on, people? What's good in the hood? Your boy's feeling well. He's feeling centered and aligned. The chakras are all chakra in. Yeah, that's me. How are you?
Cool. Good to hear it. Welcome to our show, the podcast, the Unpicked Podcast show. If you're new here, hopefully you like what you see. You'll hit the like button and subscribe. And those of you that have been here before, thank you for coming back. As you can see from the title of the show, we're going to be talking about women in rap. Before we get into all of that jazz, yeah. We start off with an icebreaker, and then we'll go into what some of the popular topics we've seen this week, and then we'll get into the main topic. So brace yourselves, but let's get it started. You asked me how I'm doing, yeah?
Yeah.
And because I was still in the intro, I didn't answer the question, but I'm doing fine.
Good.
Cool.
Sorry, I know I'm a bit scared because right about now I'm just like, whoa, I've been thrown for a loop. I put my head down to do some work. And that's all I can say. So since not working like full-time, a job 9 to 5, I literally don't know what day it is. And I have to remind myself every day. And today I clearly forgot. That's fine. We move.
Basically, the podcast is not on the forefront of his mind.
At all. It was nothing to do with that at all. Yeah, at all, boy.
This or that, yeah? Okay, so I've got 3 for you as usual. So I'll start off with, where do you think your opinions and mindset fits the most? Yeah?
Okay.
The red pill perspective or the blue pill perspective?
What is the actual difference? Because I just know that, what's her name? I forgot her name now. But that white woman, the ginger white woman, she's the red pill.
Pearl.
Pearly thoughts, pearly things. She's the red pill. So by definition, what is the blue pill?
The opposite of that. Pearly whites, fresh and fit. Andrew Tate, Kevin Samuels, they're all red pill.
They're all red pill.
So anything opposing that would obviously be
the blue. It's because I don't know what the blue pill is, but I know what the red pill is. There's a lot of things that I agree with that fall under red pill. So I need to know what the definition of blue pill is to be like, okay, one or the other.
When I checked Urban Dictionary, it's basically just things, it's literally the opposite of red pill. That's all it kind of defines it as. So
yeah, I think the red pill is quite extreme.
So anything that's like furthering like equality, feminism, stuff like that. Red pill's more about going on and on about how women are delusional, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. So it's literally blue pill is literally the opposite of red pill.
Yeah, I'm probably the purple pill.
You have to choose red or blue.
That was my choice. I'd take both. There's some in both. There's some red and there's some blue. I don't know what blue pill is, if you know what I mean. I know what red pill is.
Okay, the question was, where does your opinions and mindset fit the most? Red pill or blue pill? That was the question.
Yeah, but I don't know what the blue pill is to be like, yeah, actually, I'm blue pill.
I've literally told you what the blue pill is.
Yeah, you said it's the opposite of red.
Yeah, literally.
But if I know what red is, and I'm like, okay, I also told you what red pill
You even know the people that are in the red pill bracket. And
Yeah, I know. But remember, I used to say, oh, yeah, I like Andrew Tate's views on this, that. I used to show you things that I was like, I'm aligned with that. Actually, I think he's wild, but I think I agree with that. I agree with that.
Same with
There's
Kevin
a lot
Samuels.
of things that I agree with that. And Kevin Samuels,
Yeah.
So I'm probably more red pill.
Okay, then. Cool. Number 2. Which do you believe in, equality or equity?
Equality or equity? 1 second.
Do you need me to define them for you?
Equity, yeah. I need to see exactly what the comparison is.
Yeah, so with equality, think of like a fence. And
this is the analogy. I know that. Yeah, I know that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So obviously, if they've got equality, they'll all have the same level step.
Yeah.
Irrespective of their height. With equity, the height of the step that they stand on to see over the fence
would change depending on their
height. So the shortest person will have the bigger box. The tallest person will have the shorter. Have the shorter box. Yeah. So
I see that one. I didn't know that's what the words were in that. Am I more equality or equity? Probably more equality.
Okay. Question 3. Which experience would you prefer to have?
Mm-hmm.
The black man's experience or the black woman's experience? And why?
I would prefer to have the black man's experience or the black woman's experience. It's probably going to be the black man's experience because it's the one I know. Would I prefer to be a black woman and in what capacity? No, I think I'd prefer to have the black man's experience. Reason being, it's the devil I know. I think objectively looking at women, I see a lot of forcing. Objectively looking at black women specifically, I see a lot of negative factors forcing on them, or like things trying to be of influence, whether they be cultural or secular, and it's like trying to fight a losing battle, in my opinion. So if I could choose to be a black woman, there's so many things I would want to change, but the things would not be able to change because there's so many other things or so many structures bigger than just my opinion. So I wouldn't get anywhere.
So you think it's easier to be a black man then than it is to be a
black man? I feel like I understand what it is to be a black man. And from that basis, I would rather do what I already understand than learn a whole other way of being. Because I'm not just learning how to cope or persevere as a black woman. I'm learning how to cope and persevere as a woman, and then as a woman who's black.
Lucy Letby.
So I've seen but not seen. You know, when basically there's this thing that happens in the UK for anyone who's not from the UK. I'm sure this happens in whatever country you're from anyway, where the news will just grab a hold of one rubbish story and now do the maximum, hey, have a look at this. As soon as I saw this woman's face and her name, I didn't stop seeing it. I said, there's no way I'm even entertaining this story. I don't need to know. But please, we're here now, so let's let it be. What did she do? This baby murderer. That's all I know.
Oh, God. Can I at least let me do a trigger warning before
No, do it. Trigger warning.
At least. Look at what I have to deal with. Bloody hell. Right, so I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet, but essentially Lucy Letby was a former neonatal nurse at a hospital. What's the name of the hospital? Countess of Chester Hospital in Chester in the UK, who they believe has attacked at least 17 infants in her care between June 2015 and June 2016. She was arrested in July 2018 for it, because she was connected to a series of unusually frequent deaths of babies, where she worked. She'd been working at the hospital since 2011 as well. She was released on bail in June 2019, and then she was arrested again. No, she was released on bail, and then she was arrested in June 2019. Does that make sense? So she was arrested.
Yeah.
So she was originally arrested in July 2018, released on bail, then arrested again in June 2019, and then again in November 2020. And basically it's all gone to court and everything. And when she was originally arrested, she was charged with 8 counts of murder and 10 counts of attempted murder. So we're looking at 18 infants that she's done something to. Trial lasted between October 2022 and literally this month, where it was where she was sentenced to imprisonment with the whole of life order. And the judge said that it's not the type of order where you're going to get released early for good behavior. Like, you're literally spending the rest of your life in prison.
Behind bars.
She was sentenced or found guilty, of 7 counts of murder and 6 counts of attempted murder. And the method she was using to kill these babies was she was injecting injecting the babies with air or insulin, or she was overfeeding them, and some of them physical assault. Now, these were babies because they were in the neonatal ward. These are already premature babies that are literally fighting for their life anyway. Some of them would have been born via things like IVF and other, that kind of thing. So just to kind of understand the nature of the health of these babies and some of the complications that they may have had. And the reason why I'm talking about it, or I'm bringing it to the table, is not because it's another serial killing and everyone's talking about it in terms of, oh my gosh, this lady did this, but more because of the way the media has covered it. Because a lot of and I've watched quite a few now different news stations that have covered it, and pretty much like a good, I would say 80% of them have painted her out to be this like, oh, we never expected it. She doesn't even look like the kind of person that can commit this crime. She looks innocent. Oh, there's no concrete evidence that she did it. It's all coincidental that she was there, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're just and it sparked conversation amongst, well, I haven't really seen black men talk about it, but I've seen a lot of black women talking about it, in that, is it because she's white?
Yeah. Which is the only narrative I've seen, but that was later on in the day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought I'd bring it to the forefront because
I mean, that's always the case in the UK.
There is a race conversation surrounding it.
Yeah.
And some of the Caucasian people that I'm seeing talking about it or trying to argue that it's not about race, they're saying, no, the reason why we're shocked is because she's a nurse. And so it's unusual for a nurse to do something like this.
Right.
It's not, because in the past we've had a serial killer, what was her name? Beverly Aylett, who was convicted, found guilty, and sentenced for killing young children. She was a nurse as well. In fact, she was even labeled the angel of death. That's where that term came from in the courts, because she did it. And someone else did it like decades before her as well, also a white woman. So the fact that they're trying to say, oh, because she's a nurse, we can't believe it, as their reason, just seems a bit flimsy.
Yeah. I think... All right, let me add my spice. I'll add my spice.
Now you understand what's going on.
Yeah.
You can add
so
your spice.
I didn't know the details. I gathered what it was as an outline, because I did see that Dr. Shola made her comments on the TV, and
people were outraged. Yes,
as expected. The thing is with Britain and with the media in this country is that very seldom do they really put the names and faces of white people in the media when they have done wrong. Like when they are criminals, if you understand what I mean. Very rarely, unless they look so guilty. You know what I mean? That if you saw this person on the road and you didn't even know they'd committed a crime, you'd just assume, you know what I mean? They have to already look that bad. But this woman just looks like any other white woman from the middle of England. She really doesn't look evil. She doesn't look poor. She doesn't look foreign. She just looks white and English. Mm-hmm. And then she's done these terrible things. And everyone's like, I can't believe it. If you understood how many people got murdered, how many kids got, you know what I mean, all the statistics of crime, then you realize that most criminals look like her. It's statistically the way it is. Most people just look like regular people, the amount of crime that's committed in this country. Yeah. But everybody, you know what I mean? And it's not, I don't even blame the people themselves, because you have everyone to blame. You have the media to blame because they never talk about criminals who are white and English in the same way that they talk about criminals from other ethnic groups. The amount of times I read in the news, black man age 18, black man 17, black man 16. I'm like, man where?
Yeah.
Where's the man? And then as soon as there's someone else, boy, teen, I'm like, bruv, what are we doing? It's the language. So you have that repeated for years.
I mean, technically,
and then the films. I know, but when you're saying 17-year-old man, and it's not always man, but it's the words. The words are very powerful. There's no mistake. And you have that in combination with, no offense to EastEnders, but in combination with EastEnders, Coronation Street, the films, blah, blah. Everybody's painting the same picture, that the villain looks like everybody else, apart from just a normal white person. Even if they're a white person, they have a scar on their face. They have a Russian accent. They're Eastern European. They're never just normal English white person.
True.
And now we're here. No one can understand how she did it. Check the statistics, please. There's police station in every single city, town, borough in this whole country. Why? Because criminals are there. Are black people there? No. Are Russians there? No. Indians? No.
No, you're actually reaching. You're actually reaching.
I'm not. How's that a
reaching.
reach? There's police all over the country because there's criminals all over the country.
Yeah, irrespective of their ethnicity and how. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah. But if 95% of this country, but if 95% is white English,
you can't keep using that. Hold on. You can't keep using that because you literally said, "Are they black?" No. Some places.
I said up. When you go out of London,
there's people out of London. There's black people out of
London.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. So we can't. It's a reach to say.
But 5% of black people does not stretch across the whole of England. It doesn't stretch across the UK.
It doesn't. Does. There's people there's people up north. There's black people up north. There's black people in Ireland.
Of course they are.
Black people in Wales.
There's black people everywhere. But what I'm saying is,
so it's a bit of a reach. It's a little.
It's not a reach.
A little bit.
Just do it with grains of rice. Put out 100 grains of rice and 5 brown grains of rice, and then try and make them commit crimes in all the same places that the white grains of rice are. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Because grains of rice can commit crimes. Okay.
No, because grains of rice can represent statistics. What is statistically possible? It's the same thing. You just multiply the number. It's exactly the same thing. It's the same thing. So if anything, this Letby is just a reminder that obviously white people are not ready for, which is that everybody commits crimes. Criminals look like everybody, all of us, including you. That's it.
Yeah, I think we already know that the institution is racist. We already know that, and part of the institution is the media outlets. It's the newspapers. It's the morning breakfast shows. It's all of that. The news. So I'm not surprised that this is how they've painted the story. Like, I remember there was another story of this white girl who stabbed her boyfriend in uni. She stabbed him with a knife and she stabbed him with like a shard of glass. And it went to court and the judge turned around and said, "Oh, I'm not going to sentence her because I don't want this to ruin her life."
Mad.
If it was a black person or an Asian person or an Eastern European person.
Even though she's ruined someone else's life.
Because she just finished uni. So they didn't want it to ruin her life. But
Okay.
like you said, 17-year-old hasn't even had the chance to go to uni yet. Would they give that same sort of consideration? Probably not.
I
Probably
highly
not.
doubt it.
Exactly.
But that's because at 17
and
years old and black and male, you're a man.
do you want to know what makes this even more what makes this more of an illustration that white women benefit from the patriarchy, from racism, from everything, right? Is there was a South Asian practitioner or doctor that was working on that same ward. Him and a couple of other colleagues that worked with him, beneath him, reported it. They reported that they had suspicions that she was doing something untoward. And they turned around and accused him and his staff of bullying her. And because they made her cry...
Them powerful tears.
No, hold on. Powerful white woman tears. It's not that she's a woman. It's white women. Yeah. Because
I didn't say anything about even her being a woman.
I know. I just have to make it clear because I hear men going about women just use tears. They weaponize tears. When black women cry, no one gives a shit. But we'll put that to the side. White women tears because of that. Yeah. Oh, you need to apologize to her because you're bullying her. All this time, they were right.
Wait. Can we wheel up black women's tears not being worth anything for a second?
That's not the point of this conversation.
I know. This one, I think I have a reason why, and we can readdress. But I think that the value of black women's tears has been lessened because, and only because, the only time I ever see black women crying on TV is the loss of a son through gang violence. That's the only time it's even mediated. So I
don't think that's the only reason. I think the main reason why black women's tears are not listened to, and not only by white people, but even by black men as well, is because black women are considered or seen as more masculine. We are deemed as aggressive, argumentative, chat back, rude, all these other things. And so when we cry, it's like, okay, no one cares. If anything, that's when you start hearing all sorts of reasons why she shouldn't be crying or why she's crying crocodile tears and all these things. When a white woman cries, it is used against everyone, including other black women or any other women from any other race. And we see a lot at work. Like if you say something to a white woman, the moment she starts crying, all of a sudden now you're walking on eggshells because you made a white woman cry. If a black woman did the same thing, it just wouldn't work. It just doesn't hit the same, both with white people and even our own, unfortunately. But that's another topic for another day. I don't think it's to do with... I think what you've mentioned plays a part in terms of within the realms of crime. But when I made the comment, I'm talking more generally, black women's tears...
Yeah, no, I mean generally,
gravity.
But
gravity. It doesn't have gravity, even amongst our own people. Even like I said, even amongst our own people, black women tears is only seen by other black women. We resonate with each other. No one else resonates with us in that sphere. But we digress. So yeah, I found it quite interesting that even though it was reported by a man, simply because that man was from was of non-white descent, they didn't take him seriously. They took one woman's tears over his evidence to support why he had reservations and concerns around her practice. And it wasn't till they started seeing too many that they called one other white guy in, I forget his name, to come and do an in-depth investigation on what is the actual cause of these deaths, because we're seeing it a lot. And then he was the one that was like, you need to start looking at what nurse was working
during these
times, because according to him, the method or the cause of these children's deaths would have happened quickly. So the moment you inject them with air, they're gonna die within minutes. It's not over a period of time. So he was like, if you was to check who was working with these kids at the time, you're probably going to find the culprit. Yeah. And that's what led them to go to the police and then start the investigation. But this was reported way before that by someone, and simply because you didn't want to take what he said, because one white woman was crying that she's being bullied because of the allegations, nothing was done. So
yeah, because even her managers come under fire now as well.
Yeah, they've been suspended. It's not good enough. If I had a child, if I had gone through IVF, for example, just taking the worst example, I've been told it's going to be difficult for me to have children or whatever. I've had to do IVF to try and have a baby. I finally have a baby, or twins. Twins is very common amongst IVF. Which is, she killed twins as well. That's why I mentioned twins, by the way, like one of the, and they're born prematurely because of the nature of which they were conceived. They go to a neonatal ward, and I'm thinking, these doctors, like, the journey, the IVF journey is so long. I've got all the way to this point, and a nurse just, for whatever reason, does what she does. And I find out that it was reported way before, and no one did anything because she cried. I don't know how I would react.
Well, this is why the guy's given her life imprisonment, because it's for her own safety. Because there's going to be loads of disgruntled parents who were literally affected, and then people who weren't necessarily personally affected, but have, you know what I mean, are linked to her story in some kind of way, because obviously losing babies is not uncommon for so many different reasons. She is a target for many people who have hurt in this field, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's why she's going into solitary
She ain't safe on the roads. She ain't safe on the roads anymore.
She's not even safe. She's not even safe in prison.
Of course not.
I forget the name of the prison she's going to, but it's I forget the name of it, but it's the prison where the most dangerous women in the UK go, or in Europe go to.
So they're there already. She might as well go to Alcatraz, boy.
And even within there, they've said she has to go to solitary confinement because she will be a target even in prison.
Yep. Because plenty of people have, plenty of emotion for and motivation for why they would want to hurt someone who's hurt kids. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing as a pedophile, even though it's not the same thing in terms of the crime. I think it's the same way you would classify that person amongst others. They'll be like, you hurt kids or you killed kids. So it's just going to be a lot of negative energy headed your way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, man.
Unfortunately, it's just another story. It's not going to be the last one of how a body within the institution favors a particular ethnicity and a particular gender within particular ethnicity. It's not going to be it's not the first time. It will not be the last.
It will never be the last. It will never be the last, bro. Bare trauma to heal from.
Yep.
That I'm sure a lot of people have because of the same, racial issue being discussed. But yeah. So my Have You Seen was in keeping with today's theme of female rappers. And it was about one of my favorite social media people, Lani Good. Okay. And who can I just say, an off comment? She's quite attractive, other than her mentality. I think Lani is actually quite attractive, but I think it's all the not to be reductive, but the crazy energy that makes her unattractive. And some of the things, or most of the things that she says that makes her unattractive. I think just looks, I think she's actually quite attractive.
Okay, what happened?
That's by the by. What, as to why I said that?
No,
I feel
what
like I might have
happened?
said
No,
something
no.
hard. Oh, okay.
No.
Right,
In
but
terms of like, because I've not kept up with this story with Lani Good, but I know she's done something, but I don't know what she did or
so
what
so
was said.
she
Or
so she had some comments to say about a rapper called Trillary Banks, if you're
okay,
familiar with Trillary, right?
yeah, I am.
So Lani sent some shots at Trillary, saying that she thinks Trillary's a beg, not relevant, butters, just does, whatnot for attention and clout, etc., which
Yeah.
has been argued before by others. It's not like a brand new perspective. A lot of people don't particularly like Trillary. I'm not sure why. It's just how the game goes, kind of thing. Anyway, Trillary then sent back for her and was like,
Of course she.
indirectly, but on her live, and was saying, things along the lines of, well, just a normal rebuttal, but it was known that it was about Lani because she said, I don't really argue with people that argue over or that make pass out over like 7K, that's little girl money, or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, Lani opened herself up for that one, to be fair.
She did.
Okay, so what were your
But
thoughts on this situation?
It was sort of it's literally a walk straight into the conversation of the female rap thing, because I don't know what it is, right? And this is my problem with social media in general, but I don't like seeing women acting in this way.
In what way?
And I'm not saying in the way where they are really coming for one another online in an audience capacity and hashing out their drama online. It's very, I don't know, it's very distasteful to me.
Okay.
And that is my thoughts and feelings that are probably going to try to travel their way through into a wider topic. But it's just,
I mean, I think it's normal for any rap artist or hip hop artist, irrespective of their gender, to have other artists' names in their mouth. It's kind of part of the culture of that genre of music.
Yeah.
So I think it's not surprising that that's what's happened. The whole point of hip hop and rap, there's a competitiveness about it.
I mean,
I think
there is a competitiveness, but it doesn't have to be a competition.
There's a competitiveness about it. There's also the whole my crew, my gang, my people versus your crew, your gang, your people type of culture within that genre of music as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's surprising that the women within that culture of music have taken on the same approach that the men within the culture have taken. It's quite an aggressive culture, hip hop. It's quite aggressive. It's quite who's the toughest, who's the hardest, and
I don't think it's fair to say it's quite aggressive.
I think it's quite aggressive. I think
it's not. Aggressive. It's just a very skill-based. I think it's a very skill-based culture where there's a onus on demonstrating your skills and placing people into a kind of hierarchy based on their skills and ability.
I think it's quite an aggressive area. I think it's quite an aggressive when you look at the content of what they rap about. Don't get me wrong, I like rap music. I like hip hop, but I just because I like it doesn't mean I'm going to be biased. I'm going to be very honest and say that the lyrics within it is enough to prove what I'm saying, and that it can be quite an aggressive genre of music, especially mainstream. When you look at the alternative parts, the alternative subculture within hip hop and rap,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, I agree that that's where you get to, because they don't. Some of them ain't even talking about that stuff. They're talking about Black empowerment and all that in there. They're talking about Black culture in there. When when you look at people like Queen Latifah, who was like most of her rap was about being a Black queen and being African and knowing where you come from and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That, whilst it was somewhat mainstream, what mainstream hip hop has turned into, for as long as I can remember, for my whole life, has been what's been in the mainstream that's been popular is
Mm-hmm.
gun violence, drugs, stripping, clubbing, da da da. That's what's been in the forefront of mainstream hip hop. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, and that's in America. And then when you look at the UK have always, not always, but I've always got the impression that the UK kind of look to to America for influence
100%.
over
100%.
how we do things here in that area, because hip hop came from America, it didn't come from here. Rap came from
Mm-hmm.
there, not here.
Mm-hmm.
And MC, when you look at the MCing space, which is basically the UK version of the freestyling MCing in America, but the UK version kind of, I can't say it was 100% influenced by American rap, because that is quite nuanced in that it also takes into consideration like garage music and all that back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was like a mixture of different influences, but nonetheless, rap, hip hop here and in America, it's like they take the same sort of approach when it comes to how they talk to other artists and how they present themselves and what sort of topics they want to talk about. And unfortunately, overseas and here, when you look at the mainstream artists, they're all talking about the same thing and doing the same thing. And it's all in that line of sexual or violent. That's where it lies. So that's why I'm saying it's aggressive. It's an aggressive culture. So yeah, I think then I don't think Lani could have done anything different to previous artists within the hip hop industry or rap industry.
Oh, but Lani's not a rapper.
Male. Well, she's trying to break
sorry.
into it. She's trying to
Sorry,
break
actually.
into it. She's got a few
forget
tracks.
about her tunes. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about the tracks. I take that back. I'm sorry, Lani. I take that back.
So
she's
yeah,
a up and cover artist, so she's doing that thing.
She's up on yeah. So and controversy works as well. So and that's Lani.
It's because I know her for talking. I forgot about the music.
Yeah. So anyway, what a nice segue into the topic of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, topic of the week is women in rap, women in hip hop. I'm not going to use the word female. It irks me. So that's how I'm coining.
Why don't you like female?
I just don't like the word female.
Oh,
that's
fair.
not the topic of the conversation, though. The topic of the conversation is hip hop and rap. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so what you want to say?
It's not about
Is there
what
anything on your chest?
It's an open conversation. Have you seen that? Have you seen the Netflix docuseries? First, ladies first, women in.
No.
Oh.
Is that women in hip hop American or women in rap?
It's
American?
Yeah, ladies first. The story of women in hip hop. I think you should watch it.
If it's like the original women in hip hop, I don't think it would be representative of what hip hop looks like.
It's a mixture.
Today. Okay.
It's a mixture. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just.
I feel
like, do you know what it is? I've never been too fond of the violent part of the culture, but I'm always less offended when I see that from men.
Why
as opposed to when I see it from women, because there's two levels to it. One, it always feels more truthful when it's coming from the women, as in like I think. For me, at least, anyway, as an audience member, it's easier for me to discern when someone is doing something jokingly and when it's a serious beef on the men's side versus the women's side. And like, if you asked me, based on everything I've seen out there right now, I think all of these women are beefing for real. But it could be like, you know, these two are just taking shots, you know, whatever. And this one is for real. And then I think it, like, in terms of an attraction, it takes away from the female eyes. Whereas in the male eyes, it doesn't change. Like, only thing that changes my attraction to a male artist in terms of like, oh, I like this guy, is if he wins or not. if he gets made to be looked like a fool, for example. Like, I really liked Meek Mill until he decided to beef Drake. And then I was like, bro, did you plan that? Like, you just got smoked. Like, I can't look at you the same anymore. So when I see women get really, I don't really know what the word is, but get really beefy with another woman, I'm like, oh, I don't really like the look of that, but okay, do you? Because it feels more like it's a caricature than like a natural. I don't know, but that's how it feels.
I think there's no difference between when men rap about violence. I think it's pretty. I see it as the same.
I'm not saying rap about violence. I'm saying beefing.
Yeah, rap about it, beefing, whatever. I think it's the same.
Okay, cool.
Because again, it's part of the hip hop culture, and funnily enough, because of masculinity and the fact that men can be more aggressive physically, and when we look at violent crimes, like shooting up the place, stabbing, stuff like that, the criminal tends to be a man. I think opposite to you, that when two men are beefing, I can believe that that's very real. When the girls are beefing, I'm like, girls, you're just being catty, man. Like, you're just fighting for the number one spot. And the reason why I say that is because, and it's something that was highlighted in this Netflix show, docuseries, is when you look at American hip hop, yeah, for example, mainly American hip hop, and you look back in the day and you look at the crews that had, like, the major crews, yeah, like Rough Riders, Bad Boys,
Bad Boy.
D-Block, yeah, cool. When you look at them, yeah, they tend to have one rapper, one woman in the crew.
In the crew, yeah.
She'll be the first lady of the crew. The men, there's way more men that are acknowledged and recognized as rap artists in their own right, but they'll only have like one woman.
One woman.
So when, for example, when we look at, for example, Bad Boys against who were they against at that time? Tupac was on. Who was Tupac?
Death Row.
Death Row, that side, yeah. Bad Boy only really had Lil Kim, who was a rap artist, up against. Would it have been? She was up against Foxy Brown back then, but I don't know if Foxy Brown was Death Row.
I don't think she was.
No, I don't think she was. But you get what I'm trying to say is that with the women, the reason why it's so competitive is because there's only a few of them that are allowed to have the mic, if that makes sense. Whereas because there's only one in each crew, there's less women to compete with. So they're all fighting for I'm the number one spot, and it seems more aggressive and it looks nasty. Whereas with the guys, it's because there's way more of them. Like, you got Mace and Diddy on there, or even before Mace came, you had Biggie, obviously. But it's like, okay, you've got Diddy raps, Biggie raps. It's fine. You can have two. You can have two on the ship. Yeah. Whereas with the women, it's like, you can't have two on the ship, yo, because it's got to be me, because I'm fighting for that number
Yeah,
one spot.
because the female rappers were complementary to the male rappers, so they featured on songs that were basically in the beginning, male rapper
Yeah,
songs,
because
or they in crews with
they
males.
weren't
Yeah,
allowed
they
their
weren't the
own
main
spot.
rapper; they
They
were
weren't allowed to
complementary.
be. They weren't
But they
allowed to be
did
the main.
eventually get their
Yeah,
own
they
spots.
eventually.
But
Yeah.
I still think that those rappers are completely different to today's rappers. Thinking back to Lil Kim, at no point did I think, wow, this is... And she was sexy. She was OTT, raunchy, da da da. Never
She's
did
just as
I
bad
look
as
to
now.
her. Never did I look to her and be like, oh, this is a little bit like unbecoming. Yeah, she was definitely not ratchet, but yeah, that kind
No,
of...
she was no. She was
Okay.
ratchet.
She was
Because
ratchet.
if you look at the lyrics,
I
there's
know,
actually,
I'm trying to find the word. Yeah, no.
yeah,
Her
there's
things were
no
explicit. I
there's
had
no
her
difference.
albums. I rapped it word for word.
The words that she would use was no different to how Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, that they're just as explicit as each other. I think because
Yeah.
they were just as explicit as each other. I actually did look at some lyrics myself, and I was like, actually, I can't argue that they're more explicit now than they were back then. I can't argue that. Even to say that women in hip hop or rap over sexualize themselves. And for example, we spoke about this age ago. We were talking about how women dress, and you said that we've over sexualized ourselves more than men have. If you look at the videos back in the day, and you look at the
video
lyrics,
girls?
yep, and you look at
video girls
the video. If you look at the video girls back in the day, they were dressed just as bad as
Yeah, definitely.
they are now.
But that's what I'm saying. That's
and
men
if you listen to the lyrics of the male rappers that they were doing up Video Vixen for, the men were just as explicit in their lyrics when they were talking about sex with women.
They were doing the most.
So there's actually no difference. It's just the problem is it's because it's women.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about what you find attractive, you're measuring these artists against what you find attractive, as opposed to measuring them against the male counterparts that are within the culture that they are in. Like, it doesn't make sense to compare someone like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, or the more newer ones, Latto, Ice Spice, and all that, to a regular girl like that you potentially have a chance with, right? Who might be an R&B chick or an indie chick. It doesn't make sense because the culture that those girls represent and buy into is completely different to the hip hop culture, the rap culture. The rap culture is sex, drugs, violence. That's the culture. That is the culture.
That's what the culture has become. We have to say that's what it's become. Yeah, we have to say it's what it's become.
Do you know what I have to say?
That's not what hip hop.
Do you know why I have to say that's what it is? Is because I have to say that's what it is because my whole life that's what it's been. Right? So to me, that's what it is. The mainstream. Right. When you look at, like I said already, alternative rap has never been mainstream. And that is a bit more artistic. They talk about other stuff, not just sex, drugs, violence.
It has been mainstream. That's what birthed rap. That's what birthed hip hop. Was what you're now calling alternative rap. The only thing that's happened in hip hop is that labels, corporations saw how much control they could have over the black community by promoting the fringe rap cultures, and so they made the fringe rap cultures the main. Gang rap didn't have a place. It didn't have commercialism until labels got involved.
Okay, thank you. So now that we know that labels got involved, we can't
so
really
what
measure. So what I'm saying is, what I was saying before you started trying to educate me is...
Like, you gave me a space to talk, though?
Hold on. Yeah, because I'm not rude. You interrupted me and I let you speak, but now I'm going to come back and finish my point. I don't think it makes sense to measure these women against women that are not within that culture. I think you got to measure them against what is in the culture already. And if the male counterparts are doing it should be, it's equal, it's equality. That's part of the culture. The men are doing it. makes sense that the women are doing it as well. I know we've had women in rap and hip hop before who didn't subscribe to that. Like I've already mentioned one already, Queen Latifah. We also had Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill, like she won awards that no other women in rap have won before. Like, and she she wasn't over sexualized. She didn't talk about these type of things the way that, do you know what I mean? Like she just didn't buy into that. But those are the anomalies when you look at the grand scheme of things. Unfortunately, the ones that make it are the ones that sell sex, violence, and all that, and have a particular look and a particular aesthetic. And it's because that's what the corporations want them to do, because that's what brings in the money. And I said something about this in that over-sexualized episode that we did, where I said, it's very easy to say that women over-sexualize themselves, but you need to ask yourselves why that is. Because I think because we know that that's what the male gaze likes, that's the reason why they do it. In order for a lot of these women in rap to even get respected by men, they have to sell sex. For them to even be recognized or seen, they have to sell sex. And if
can I respond to that?
Yeah, you can, when I finish my point. And if the men are selling sex or talking about sex and degrading women, I think it's fair for the women to be like, you know what, you're already degrading us, you're already talking shit about us anyway. You're already talking about what you want to do, how you want to beat the puss up and all this, yeah? I'm going to give the female perspective on that. And I'm going to talk about it the way I want it to be spoken about. And if they're going to take back control in that way, I think that's fine.
Okay. Well, going back to like music and corporations and numbers.
Yeah.
With regards to being attracted to women in hip hop and me or men being more into R&B chicks, the lines between hip hop and R&B have always been quite blurred and have blurred more and more over the years anyway. And hip hop culture has always informed R&B as opposed to R&B informing hip hop. So you'll find that girls in R&B scene have more similar likeness to girls in the rap scene than the other way around.
I never said that you only like
I'm saying that. I'm saying that.
Okay.
So I'm saying that hip hop informs R&B anyway. So if you like women that are maybe not as extrovert or maybe not as aggressively sexual or something, it's only going to be a matter of time if that's what they do in rap for it to be what they do in R&B. But then to the point of selling sex, that one is twofold, because in music, it's women's money that does the thing. Women statistically make up the sales with regards to music, buying into artists, whatever it may be. So the real question is, if women are the people who basically fund and support like the gangster rappers from the days of old, who have led to the super hypersexual female rappers of the days of now, then why do women not necessarily not support, but why is it that now that women have the opportunity to be plentiful, not be one in a crew of men, they just have their autonomy to just be female rappers without crews or in a crew of women or whatever? It's still the same people who make up the sales. It's still women supporting the women. So why is it then, if women are supporting women, that they still feel the need to behave, although they're being the way that men portray them, as opposed to something that women may deem a better representation of themselves? May deem. I don't know. Maybe women love to see other women be hypersexual. I'm sure that they do because they support it. But it's just interesting to me that I would feel, from my understanding of feminism and the conversations that have led us from the days of old and men putting video girls in videos, etc., to now, that is not what women would want to see. Yet it's what women see of themselves.
So this is why I said you need to watch that Netflix show, because it gave me a very good understanding of how these women were even allowed in those male-dominated crews in the first place. And what you'll find is whether or not women spend more money on music than men do, it's the men that hold the power in terms of who they let in. So it's the men that, like, a lot of these women were saying that, like, for example, MC Light, The Brat, Missy Elliott, like they were talking about how they needed to align themselves with a man, and it's the
in order
man
to
that
get
would
a foot in
allow
the
them to
door.
get in. Yeah. So it's very easy for you to say, you know, feminism and women are the ones that are spending money in music. Why couldn't they just come together and create their own crew? And why can't they do that?
No, I didn't say that.
Because that's what I heard. Because
No, I didn't say that at all.
that's what I heard.
I didn't say that. I did not say that at all. Let
Women
me clarify
can't-
what I said, because you're going to rebuttal
Yeah,
something
go
I
on.
didn't say.
Yeah, go
I did
on.
not say something about the women from the days of old creating a crew. I said women were once one member in a crew of men, and now they have the autonomy to be artists regardless of men.
Because
they can even
it's
create
still
crews
men
of
that
women.
control. Because again, so I understood what you said, so I'm going to carry on with my rebuttal. Men still control the corporations, music corporations. Quite recently, there was a woman. She's not a hip hop artist. She's a R&B artist, and I forget her name. And if I remember it, I'll just put her image on the screen. And she was talking about how she was signed. She was signed by a mega music corporation, and for ages they were controlling the type of music she could put out, when her albums can come out, stuff like that, which you find happens to male artists as well. But she was talking about how it harmed her even more because she's a woman. Like she has no say. It's these fat cats are fat white men pretty much who control the urban industry. They're the ones sitting behind it, not black people. And even when you look at the black corporations like Rock Nation, Bad Boys and all that bring out artists, again, it's male dominated. It's not women dominated. And when women try and bring out their own thing, it's not respected because it doesn't have a man behind it. And that's what they're finding. So whilst women are spending more money buying records, downloading records and etc., which you could argue means that they're the ones that determine what is preferred, it is still men making those decisions. Men want to see girls shaking their ass on the screen because maybe they want to get more men to buy records than women. So they're like, what do men like? Men like sex. Porn was created for men. It's not created for women.
Yeah.
So sex sells. It's what draws men attention. So it makes sense that if we're going to have women doing this, that's what they portray. And what women have chosen to do is go, okay, you lot have been talking, you've been so explicit and nasty about what you want to do to us. Now we're going to talk about what we want to do to you, because we want to take back our power in being able to talk about our sexuality. Not that our sexuality is being spoken about from the lens of the man. Now hear it from our side. Yeah, we want to be nasty just like you. Sex, like, I think a lot of the whole women talking about sex, for example, I think a lot of the issues surrounding it and why men might not particularly like it or see it as vulgar, and even some women see it as vulgar, is because of the whole purity complex. Like in society, women should be pure, women should be clean. And so when women are not that, it's a problem, pretty much. So with that at the back of my mind, as context at the back of my mind as well, it kind of makes me think, okay, that's the real reason why people don't like the fact that women have chosen to go down the, okay, you want to talk vulgar, I'm going to talk vulgar as well. Rather than, why can't you just stay pure and clean? Like, men can do it, but you shouldn't. Like, why is it okay for men to talk that way, but women can't talk that way about their own sexuality and what they want to do within the realms of sex, or how they want to dress and how they want to present within the realms of sex and being sexy? Why is it that they're still being policed? They've taken their own choices and men are still policing them on how they've made those choices based on what men think is right, as opposed to going, hold on a minute, in the culture, everyone talks about stripping, majority. Everyone talks about sex. The lyrics are explicit and violent. So, okay, there's no surprise that a woman within that culture is doing the same thing. Like they don't. People don't have as much issue with it when the men are doing it, but when the women are doing it, all of a sudden is, why is she taking that route? Why can't she take another one? Why are we prescribing the route that she's chosen? We don't prescribe the route that the men take. Do you get it? So I think...
Yeah, I hear it. I think the difference between men and women is more clear, that one is coming from the basis of nothing being there, and the other one, in most people's minds who have critique, is that one should be an evolutionary step, because men started rapping from the position of there being nothing. Most men now, they just follow follow the formula of what's come before. Oh yeah, I see whoever rap like this, cool, I'm gonna be in the next Central C, I'm gonna be the next Drake, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And from that same lens, a lot of younger rappers or women who were rapping back in the day would have been like, oh, I want to be more like a Lil Kim. Oh, I want to be more like a Foxy Brown. I want to be more like a Lauryn Hill. And this is a different issue, but there was a lot more diversity in how people rapped before as well. Not just from an image perspective, but from a content perspective, from a, you know what I mean? So that now that it's narrowed for everybody, men and women included, it presents another way as well. It does present like it's a more sexual thing, because everybody is on, men as well are all on this same one lane. There's not like the conscious side and the community side.
There
like,
are.
it's not like it used to be. Not like it used to be.
Not like it used to be. No, but there are.
Not like it used to be at all.
Like again, on that docuseries, there was this rap artist, and she's plus size, she's dark skinned, and she was talking about how when she first started, people used to say to her, "You're not going to make it like Nicki, like Cardi, because you don't look like them and you don't rap like them." And you don't, in terms of what she talks about, how she presents. And she said she had men saying that to her, that like, men are not going to want to buy your record. They're not going to, because you don't look nice. You don't look like the kind of woman that they want to see rapping. So I think my standpoint on this is, I do think that hip hop in general is quite aggressive, and it over sexualizes women and stuff like that. And women have gone ahead and done the same thing as the guys, pretty much. And I think that that's just the nature of the beast. I don't think I can blame either side. I think both women and men have a part to play in the nature of what hip hop is now. I think that women should have every right to decide how they want to, or what they, women have a right to decide what part they want to play in the evolution of women's equality or equity within the hip hop domain. And if women are saying, you know what, men have been talking explicitly about what they want to, all the freaky stuff they want to do to us for decades. Now we've got more of us in the hip hop scene. We want to talk about what we want to do. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. I think that's fair. Because it means that it is playing a part in somewhat getting people more comfortable with women not being seen as pure, and getting people more comfortable with understanding that women have just as many sexual needs and sexual urges as men do. I think what's dangerous is when people try to prescribe how women contribute to the evolution of feminism and stuff like that. I think it, if anything, especially when it comes from men, it can come across as you're still trying to dictate how we do what we want to do. Leave us alone. Let us do how we want to do. It's not your decision. You have no autonomy over what we want to do. That's the whole point of feminism, so that we have choice. And if this is what we're choosing to do, you have no right to be there and try and dictate what you think is right or wrong. That's still a patriarchal perspective. And not everyone's monolith as well. Like, some women will choose not to be overly sexy. Some women will choose to, within their lyrics or whatever they want to talk about and how they want to present within their industry. And that should be okay. It should be right, cool. Megan wants to be talking about her wet ass puss, her WAP. And whoever wants to talk about
it's definitely whoever.
Do you know what I mean?
Who is whoever? There is no whoever. That's the point.
There is. I just can't remember her name. The person I'm thinking of, I can't remember her name, but she was on the show. This is what I'm saying. I feel like you need to watch the docuseries. Like, just watch 1 or 2 episodes.
No.
You don't have to watch the whole thing. It was really, really interesting because when I thought about this, the reason why I brought up this topic is because I watched ZZ Mill's interview with IVD.
Right, yeah.
And a topic came up about women's sexuality and how the actual image of women within the music industry now, Black women, and how everyone looks the same, everyone's overly sexy, BBL fashion, all of that. And ZZ asked IVD a question about it. She was like, do you think that you've contributed along the lines of, like, do you think you've contributed, or do you think the music industry has like influenced
put its
young
image
girls
on you? Yeah.
And stuff like that. And IVD admitted, and she was like, yeah, it has. But it's always been like that from as far as she can remember. And she's what, 25? And I was about to come on here and be like, yeah, you know what? They should know that they're role models and they shouldn't be doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. There's young girls looking at them, and there's no wonder that all the girls look the same in the UK, because when you look at all the rap artists within the UK that are women, that's what they look like, blah, blah, blah. It's really going to come in with my almost red pill opinion on it, right? Then I watched then I went and watched the Netflix documentary.
And
I thought it really challenged me, and it made me understand the history of how women have got to where they are right now in the industry. And it made me understand that, listen, patriarchy is no joke. It's not something that you talk about and it's like, oh yeah, patriarchy and feminism, like, it's a big deal. Like, men have, and I feel will continue to have, or feel like they have a right to dictate and tell women what to do and how to do it. And they will always have, not always, because that sounds pessimistic, but I feel like there's a long way for women to go before there's actual equality between men and women in the different fields and different areas and different industries. Because I feel like right now there's still that fight of, you've decided to do it like this, but why? When you could have done it like that. If we had done it, it would have been like that. And this is another one, unfortunately. But I was definitely going to come on here and be like, yeah, all of them, they dress a certain type of way. They talk about a certain thing. Like, what? Because of respectability politics, and because I don't personally subscribe to that. I don't personally subscribe to having my arse out. Do you get what I mean? But when I understood the context, I was like, oh, interesting. Challenged me. Conviction. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting stuff.
The issue that I have with that, not that I'm saying that you're wrong, but the issue that I have with that is because women are the spending power, and there are artists that don't conform to these particular hypersexualized or over-sexualized, depending on how you feel about it, ways, they aren't making the money. They aren't generating the interest from other women in the same way that the Cardi B's are. And whereas before it was very much, if you're signed, that's the only way you're going to make it. And if you try and be independent, there's no chance in hell. Artist after artist is proven that they don't need labels. I think Central C isn't even signed. He's independent, and he's probably the biggest rapper in the UK right now. At least a new one. He's definitely the biggest new one in terms of newly risen. He's been doing it a little while. So again, I argue, like, where is the female equivalent? Where is the female rapper who's just as talented as Central C, who statistically there is one, who isn't necessarily rapping all about sex or whatnot, who will be supported by a community, because women are aware of patriarchy. They're aware of feminism. They're aware of the need to support one another. So with all of that, in the fold, that sounds like it should be a perfect storm. You see an artist who's just as good as Central C, but she's female. She's not representing, a misogynistic or misogynized version of women. Women should support her. No, I would assume that's like a quick win. Like, it's like, boom, she's talented.
You've got to think about talent and stuff like that as well. Because you're saying where's the female equivalent of Central C? No shade to any woman in the UK that raps, but I don't see
yeah, no. I agree.
I don't know. I don't know one that has.
I haven't seen one.
I don't know one that has that
execution.
Yeah,
it's the execution.
So there's not as many women in the UK. There's a lot of women who MC and stuff like that, but there's not that many that are in the forefront or like are known, or it's. I think it's it's slightly different beast in the UK, because grime has not been even considered as one of the main or one of the more popular genres of music within the UK. It's still within the Black community pretty much. It's not as big as it is like as hip hop is in America, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think we're still steps behind in the UK when it comes to that genre of music in comparison to.
Oh, no. Okay, I think I get what you're saying.
I don't think I'm articulating myself properly, but like.
No, I'm just trying to I was just trying to understand.
I still think that within the UK, when you look at UK rap and UK hip hop, grime and all that, yeah, it's still majorly dominated by the men. It's not.
Yeah, no, it is dominated by the men.
Women. So I think we're steps behind in that sense. And also the culture within the UK is slightly different. Like most of these female women in women MCs and stuff in the UK, they've got this like social media influencer side to them, if that makes sense. Like they're in that space a lot more than just grime and just rap. Whereas the guys are literally just rap, just grime, just making beats. So it's nuanced, it's slightly different. And I think for that reason, the influencer side of things, for example, and the part that the internet plays in how women in this genre even come out in terms of being seen, it's going to be a while before women who don't present in the way that is seen as the norm is taken seriously. So like Cardi B was a social influencer pretty much before she came got known because she was all of that, right? She had a particular aesthetic. I mean, she's an ex-stripper. That aesthetic is what runs through social media. That's the aesthetic that is the most popular aesthetic throughout social media. So when you understand that, once you understand that women in this genre nowadays kind of apply the same formula as Cardi, Lani Good, for example, social media content creator first. Now she's bringing out tunes. She rode off the back of a scandalous story with her ex, made a tune about it, and now all of a sudden now she's an MC. She can freestyle. She's a rapper. IVD started off on YouTube. She started off doing like get ready with me videos and vlogs. And then she mentioned in there or did some sort of thing in there, and one of her friends that was also in the YouTube space was like, why don't you get into rap, make a tune? Boom. She made a tune. People started to know who she was. It's become a reoccurring theme. And I think because that is the aesthetic that seems to work and seems to be the norm, it's a never-ending cycle. So remember ages ago we had the black girl aesthetic in the UK, and there was the girls that do Naturalista versus Bust Down Baddie.
Yeah.
and naturalistas or alternate aesthetics was seen as that's not it. That's not, you're not a baddie. If you ain't got a bust down, you're not a baddie. If you ain't got lashes, you ain't a baddie. And everyone wants to be a baddie. Why does everyone want to be a baddie? Whether you agree with me or not, a lot of men actually like that look. That's the girls they go for.
Hell no. Oh, hell no.
I know you're gonna argue with me.
Hell no.
You're gonna argue with me. But you know why
I felt it. Hell no. What?
Hold on.
What?
Now, I don't even want to be like, well, with my life, because I don't want to bring my lived experience into it. But I've actually I actually did like a poll amongst the men that I know, follow me, all that stuff. And the majority of them, they like the look. They think that's a baddie. They like it. That's the aesthetic they like. Doesn't mean they want to wifey her, like make her a wife. But that's what they like. That's what they find attractive. If you put a girl that doesn't look like that against a girl that does, they seem to be picking the one that looks like that.
Yeah.
So if you're a young, impressionable girl, Ivy, for example, is 25. She started in this in her late teens, yeah? And you're finding that when you've got your hair out natural, man's not moving to you, man's not checking for you. But when you've got the bust down, centre part, man's looking at you like, whoa, scrumdiddlyumptious.
Wow.
And you are attracted to men, you're gonna play into that. You're gonna lean into that. And I know it's hard to believe because you're a man and you're not a woman and you don't understand our psychology. And I don't want to have to bring myself into it. But even me, I fell into the trap. Because when I used to have my hair natural, I didn't have as many guys checking for me. When I got the weave now, all of a sudden, she's bad. That's what you like. That's what they like. They say they don't like it, but actions are saying something else. And then when you look at the guys who wifey the more natural look, there's a particular type of natural look that they go for. Okay. She's going to be light. And she's going to have manageable curly hair. Her hair is within that 3A, 3C bracket. It's coily, nice, manageable, loose curls. It's not the kinky, tougher than Nigerian hair.
Tougher than Nigerian
Lil Wayne hair. It's not that. It's not that. They don't want that. They don't want that. And they've not wanted that. When I was in school, girls that had hair like that, our hair was... It was like the names that you would be called because they wanted Lucy where her hair moves like this. Even when it's curly, it's got to move. It's got to move. It can't be like, do you get it? So it's a shame that women are playing into this. But if that's what the guys are showing you, they're saying one thing, but if that's what they're showing you, I can see why they go into that. I can see why they end up going, you know what, that's what is preferred. So that's what I'm going to go for.
No. Hell no. Remember at the start of the episode, you asked me, would I rather be a black man, knowing that all that I know, or experience this life again as a black woman, or experience their struggles? You worded it, you know what I mean? The reason why I chose a black man instead of a black woman, is because of this. I was speaking to, there's things that I see that I would need to change and I'm going to be fighting the whole world. To me, I'm learning two different struggles. The struggle of a woman, the struggle of a black woman. It's long. This is what I'm talking about, is even this. So, for example, the look of the back. Basically, men are only going to accept and choose from what is on offer. That is it.
Okay.
Period, point blank.
Okay.
The whole baddie thing, that's not men. That's women competing with women.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
That's women competing with women.
You're telling me something that you haven't lived through. You're
I've
still
lived
giving
through
me
it.
No,
I've lived through it.
And
I've
no, you
lived
haven't.
through it.
Okay.
I've lived through it.
Okay.
That's my lived experience.
I don't have the energy.
No,
I don't have the energy.
No man said to any woman, oh yeah, I love when you have like 3-inch cumbrellas on your eyelashes. No man ever said that to a woman. You can say that men have chose that because they're now familiar with it, but actually,
when they're presented with that's what I'm trying to tell
option,
you.
yeah, when they're presented with the option, no,
you're presented with the option. Now I've heard you.
With the option, no, you're presented with the option,
and you're still picking the one that you say you don't want.
No, they're presented with the option. Please. They're presented with the option, and all they can see is a woman who subscribes to the popular beliefs and a woman who's thinking out the box. The woman who's looking like every other woman is probably gonna do the things that every other woman does. If you're like, okay, so I want a girl who's gonna be like this, like that, you're not gonna pick a woman who looks like nothing like all the other women you've experienced like that. You're not gonna expect something standardized from someone unique. It's not gonna happen.
All I'm saying to you is colorism plays a big part in why you find black women are wearing hair that doesn't match their own texture. Okay. Colorism plays a big part in that. Also, what is considered as conventionally pretty, it's more in line with that, with the look that these girls are trying to emulate. If you are a West African woman, it's unlikely your lashes are going to be long. Like most of us have short curl. It's part of how we look, right? So if you was most dark-skinned black women, and I know I'm not capping because we talk about this all the time, but people don't listen. It's very frustrating. Growing up, when I was in school, primary school, secondary school, the black men were looking at Lucy, and if they weren't looking at Lucy, they were looking at Natalie, the mixed one that has coolie hair, long lashes. Her hair's down her back and it's wavy and it's manageable. That's what they were looking at. Dark-skinned black women don't naturally look like that. So if you come to a dark-skinned black woman telling her, I like the natural look, and her whole life, or the majority of her life, she has watched the men she likes pick natural women who don't look anything like her, she's going to start thinking, I need to look more like them. What does that mean? I need to start adding things to my features or altering my features to look like what they like. So you can't tell me that men are picking from what they see all the time when this has been happening from when I was in primary school in the 90s, where I had my hair in afro and braids most of the time, and man them weren't checking for me. They didn't want braids. My ex categorically told me, I don't like
That's one
braids.
guy, but okay, yeah.
A guy I was talking to just yesterday on the phone was telling me he doesn't like braids. Black guy.
There's two guys. There's two guys. Okay, there's two guys.
Venom, you go and speak to other black, dark-skinned women and try and listen to why they make the choices they make. Don't just look at the outward choice and judge them. You need to understand the history and the context. And I am telling you, I didn't want to bring myself into it because I knew you was going to come out and tell me, you're one person. There's other black women that talk about this. If you listen to black women podcasts, if you listen to black women,
I'm not saying that other black
spaces,
women don't do that.
They will tell you, growing up, the men I liked didn't like me because I didn't look like this. And in order for me to look like that, I have to do X, Y, Z. I fell into the trap. I was wearing wigs and weaves because that's the look that guys have told me my whole life that they like. I went out on the weekend and I've been wearing my hair natural now for 2 months, right? No weaves, no extensions, nothing. And I went out. I'm a big 30-something-year-old, Venom. I went out on the other day, and obviously there was other women, black women that look like, you know, how like dressed that aesthetic. I felt insecure, and I was with my mum, and I felt insecure, and I told her, and she goes, "Why?" She goes, "Why do you feel insecure?" And I said, "Because it reminds me of when I was in primary school, where I didn't fit into the mold of what was deemed as attractive. And because I look different, I don't think I look nice." It's a psychological thing.
It is.
I don't know how much I can try and convey that to you. So when you say stuff like, why do they do that? Why do they just like that? It's not something that I'm pretty sure. if you only knew the lengths that girls go to look like that, if they could just
I know there's
go
lengths.
to those lengths.
That's why I'm like, why are you doing that?
Because they feel like they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they don't get what women who naturally look like that get.
But
And
I feel
until
like
you understand,
until that is the absolute minority. And
No,
I see
they're
more.
not.
I see more
No,
girls
they're not.
making
No, they're
themselves look
not.
like that than I do girls who actually look like that.
Girls, there's a reason why within the Black community and within the Black women's space that there was always friction between dark-skinned women and women who were mixed or light.
Right.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason why there was friction there. There's a reason why dark-skinned Black women felt that lighter-skinned women saw themselves as higher in the hierarchy than them when it comes to attraction. There's a reason why when you look at the weaves and the bust downs and the wigs and stuff that girls are wearing, there's a reason why they're not going for kinkier textures. They're going for straight textures. And if they're going for curly, it's that body wave that those mixed girls tend
loose
to
curls.
have. There's a reason for that. There's a reason. And I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair when Black men who don't truly understand the psychology of it turn around and go, you shouldn't look like that. This is what we want. Well, can your actions match what you're saying, please? Because my whole life, all you've chosen is people that look like what I'm trying to look like.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm trying to say.
As I hear that, but as a rebuttal to that, what I would say is, one, I see loads of girls of lighter complexions doing the exact same look that is
100%.
purchased and not natural. And then I guess on top of that, just like you say, loads of people are not monolithic. Black men's attraction is not monolithic. All Black men do not like lighter skinned women with loose curly hair.
The ones that the ones that these women like, that's what they like. So that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. So not every Black man is monolithic. Not every Black woman is monolithic. There's Black women that don't even date Black men. But the type of Black men within, especially London, there's a particular type of Black man that these girls seem to like. And those men go for women that look like them or portray. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't think you fit into that mold. No offense, but you don't fit into the typical type of Black guy I'm talking about. So I think for you are always going to try and measure or try and say that men think like you when they don't. I'm
not saying men think like me. I'm saying men think in a variety of different ways is what I say.
Okay, but the men, and this is why I worded it, you know me and my wordsmith ways. There's a reason why I worded what I said the way I said it. The men that they liked didn't like them until they portrayed themselves a certain type of way. You might be a guy, based on what you're saying, you might be a guy that doesn't like that aesthetic and you like women that don't look like that. There are women that don't look like that. You don't like them. Yeah, you don't like them. Or not you.
Guys,
you don't.
But
there's guys
don't do that
fit
head with me.
The guy. No, do you know why? Do you know why I did that head? Because your wife doesn't even look like the type. She doesn't look like me. She looks like she looks like the light skinned, coolie haired women that I'm telling you. Most Black guys that tell you they like natural look like. That's what she looks like. She doesn't. She's not a dark skinned Black woman with 4C hair.
Yeah.
So again, it kind of speaks to the point I'm making in that when men tell dark-skinned Black women we like natural look, and then you look at the partners they're choosing, we don't see ourselves in what you're choosing. So when we say actually I hear it, but clearly we don't fit into the catchment.
No,
but
because
we're listening to what you're saying and your actions are not marrying. So then for us, it's like, okay, you're saying this, but this is what your actions are showing me. So what you're saying is rubbish. It's trash. No, because this is what you've gone for.
I've said this before, right? So dark-skinned Black women, that is in essence a fringe of being Black, because Black is a spectrum, and so literally. That is one essence of being Black. And then anything else is not dark skin. Yeah. Which makes up then the majority. So the majority of Black people go from mid skin to very, very fair. There's only one group. You have to be the top tier to be dark skin. So that is the minority. And so then...
I don't know, because people have different perceptions of what dark skin is.
I know, but in reality, statistically, that would make dark-skinned Black girls the minority, because it's not even like, you know what I mean? Some people would be like, oh, you're not even dark enough. depending on who who we're talking to and where we're having the conversation. So then you will realize that the argument is almost like some kind of, it's like a toxic spiral, because actually it's the minority saying that if, for example, my partner does not represent the minority, then what I'm saying is invalid, because somehow I'm like, I like a light-skinned girl and da. Well, I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I'm saying that's what it will become, because statistically, that's what the numbers will do, especially in the UK. It's not like we're in Nigeria where there's a plethora of dark-skinned girls. No one has seen the girls I've dated. No one knows who I'm attracted to. All you can see is the one girl that I married, which for most people, they only ever make it to marry one person, by God's grace. And you know what I mean? That's a connection.
Yeah, I can see why I can see. I didn't want to make that point.
No, I hear it.
Because you're doing exactly what I foresaw.
You wanted to stay away from.
Yeah. Because what you're doing is you're trying to justify your situation.
No. I'm not. No.
And hear me out. Hear me out. No. You are. Because I mentioned how your wife looks.
No. I'm explaining why.
And you're explaining why.
Hear
me out.
I'm explaining why the dark skin argument is a problematic one.
I've heard you. It's problematic, but it's how we feel. Whether you think it's problematic or not. If we're seeing time and time again, more likely than not, that black men that tell us they like natural women are picking a certain type of natural looking woman, then logic speaks for itself. It makes sense why we're going to believe what we believe. You say one thing, but your actions are showing us something else. A dumb person will listen to the words over the actions of the person that is speaking. Okay,
but what I'm saying is,
I heard that.
You're not looking at the actions.
I heard that. No, we are looking at the actions, because if the majority of you are still picking a certain type of natural black woman, irrespective of how many of us there are, then dark skin is a spectrum. I'm dark skinned. I'm a dark skinned woman.
Yeah, but I call myself.
There's women that are lighter than me that would be in the bracket of dark-skinned woman compared to a light-skinned woman or a mixed woman, right? And what I'm telling you is women that are my shade, maybe a few shades lighter than me, shades darker than me, definitely women darker than me, have had this experience. And it would be very difficult for you to say, it would be very difficult for me to believe that if you are not mixed and you are black, that the majority of black people are not dark skinned. I think that's a wild statement to make.
If you're not
majority, if you're not mixed, because what you're trying to say is that because black is a spectrum, there's not that many dark skinned people compared to lighter skinned people, and I'm telling you that even dark skin is a spectrum, and dark skin,
I agree.
Dark skinned women. Whether they're more lighter dark skin or the darkest dark skin, have this experience.
Yeah.
And when you look at being black, black, I'm not talking mixed, I'm not talking somewhere in your bloodline back in the day there was a lighty. I'm talking black. Most of us are brown or dark skin. I think it's a reach to say that it's the other way around.
I think most people are middle, and then that middle ground, there'll be a lot of people who you would class as light skin.
But middle ground women, black women who are middle ground, are still considered as dark. This is what I'm trying to get you to understand. For black women, it's either you are a lighty or you are dark skinned. There's no middle ground.
There is a middle ground.
Dark. There isn't.
There is.
There isn't.
There's even a word for it, which is browning, but
But even brownings who have this particular type of hair and stuff like that, they don't get chosen over the brownings that have coolie hair, for example, which goes back to the point I'm making, which is there is a certain type of look that you have to have as a browning or a dark-skinned woman for you to be considered as pretty. Unfortunately, that is the reality of a black or brown-skinned woman. You don't have to believe me, but I know that I can go into brown and dark skin spaces with other women, and I know that we have a shared understanding of what I am talking about. And I'm cool with that. I don't expect you to understand because
you lot have your experiences. Cool. We have
that shared understanding of what I'm saying. And again, if we are all, or the majority of us feel this, then I think it's unfair and it's not very sensitive of anyone to try and belittle it and make it seem like it's all in our head and we're making the wrong decisions off the back of the trauma that we have experienced, period. And again, if someone is saying something but their actions are showing me something else, irrespective of the reasons surrounding it, you've said one thing but for some reason this is what I'm seeing, then I think it's not a far reach for people to believe what they see of you as opposed to what you say. But I think it will always be difficult for Black men to understand a brown to dark skinned woman's struggle and in terms of how they present and stuff like that, because you've not lived the experience. And I think a lot of Black men might struggle to understand the impact they've had on how these women see themselves and how they've chosen to present in terms of root cause. Where we've gone to now, I don't know, man. I think it stems from trauma, just like how people still act on the trauma of slavery, to be fair. This colorism thing goes all the way back to slavery as well. It goes all the way back, you know, like the slave master choosing the lighter,
it was written. There's a whole book written on how to cause destabilization within the community of the enslaved, using colorism against them so that you have better control of them. It's literally a whole book on that. From the white man's perspective, teaching other white men how to use colorism to their benefit.
Sorry, I'm texting because
that's right.
I've got someone's coming round, yeah, and I'm just trying to make sure.
Pattern the thing, yeah.
Just trying to make sure that everything's still
patterned. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, conversation completely went off. It completely went off. And the thing is, I didn't really want to go there because for me, I'm just, the era that I'm in right now in life is I'm hyper sensitive to how Black men talk about Black women. Because I'm just like, I don't think people in general really take heed of the impact of their words. So it's like, and that's in general, I'm not just saying Black men, that's in general, yeah. So I feel like with Black women for so long, it's how we feel is always like diminished or made like small. It's not taken seriously, or we're blamed for how we feel, or like how we're supposed to react to those feelings and those traumas are like prescribed to us, and we can't just be and we can't just be or be allowed to express ourselves how we want to without there being judgment or do you know what I mean? And it's quite sad. And I've got to a stage in life where I'm like, I'm tired of having to mold myself or express myself in a certain way because I don't want to upset the person that I'm expressing myself to, or I'm sick and tired of having to think about everyone else when it comes to decisions I make and how everyone else is going to feel about it. No, I have every right to feel and act the way I want to. And whether you are a Black man, a white woman, you have no right to tell me how I'm going to react to the trauma I experienced. Especially if your demographic contributed to the trauma that I experienced or that we experienced. And that's why probably I've been a bit hard on you in this conversation with this, because it's like,
fine.
I mean, we're friends, so hopefully you don't take it to heart or anything. But it's just enough is enough. Like I'm tired of, and I'm not saying Black men don't have their struggles, but I'm not a Black man, and I'm not going to be the face of Black men. I'm not going to be the voice for Black men, but certainly for Black women, I think more and more of us do need to like unapologetically be like, no, you can't tell me how I'm going to react. You can't tell me what I'm going to say. You can't tell me how to feel because you haven't been through it, period. You haven't. So yeah, but with the hip hop thing, just going back to that, in conclusion for me, I think that the hip hop culture in general has some negative connotations that doesn't really help the community, the Black community specifically, or the urban community. And I think it started with the men, and it's continued with the men. Then the women have jumped on and they've run with it. And now it's turned into both parts, both genders, sexes being toxic in their own way in general, if that makes sense. So like in the space of aggression and violence and drugs and all that, both sides are toxic. In the space of sex and how they talk about it and how they objectify women, both are toxic. Men are misogynistic in that space and women have over-sexualized themselves in that space. And I don't see it changing. Irrespective of who's buying the records, irrespective of who's rating who, it's just not going to change for a long time, unfortunately, because this is what it's become. It's quite sad, really. And also, if you haven't watched the docuseries on Netflix, even though we're not sponsored by them, I urge you guys that are listening, and of you as well, Venom, to go and watch it, because it really was education. It was an educational piece for me anyway, and it did kind of change my perspective around the topic.
Women in hip hop for me, or female rappers in the UK. I agree with your sentiments. I think that hip hop, once the man got a hold of it, has never served the community. It led a lot of black men astray and into lives of crime, which then directly impacted black women and black families, because if you think of the time frame, it would have been from an era where women were more dependent on men and their man.
Yeah.
And then as women have gained independence, essentially all I've seen is that, okay, cool, women have gained independence. They represent themselves now. So we'll just get female role models to lead other females astray, since that's now what they're doing. Because that's how I feel about these females. I think they promote a lot of consumerism, commercialization. They're very... this is not a word, but they're very vain. It's very superficial. It's very much just about what they have, and everything's designer and everything's fast and meaningless. And I think it just promotes in the mindset of young women a state of being that will not lead them to any type of happiness long term either, if they follow them. If you just follow what they say, what they do, you won't find happiness. Same as the guys, but I'll say that that's been the plan for the guys ever since. But now it's the plan more specifically for the women. And that's what I'm seeing. So
And you know what? That's just also made me realize that, you know, this whole conversation about how black women present within the hip hop sphere and that black girl aesthetic that we're talking about, that's not going to get any better either. Because unfortunately, it promotes consumerism. It promotes over-sexualization. It promotes, it promotes and furthers billion-pound industries like cosmetic surgery, like weave and hair, like, do you know what I mean? Makeup, you know, even the type of fashion they wear, the type of brands that they subscribe to, it funds money, it churns money into those areas. So it's not going to change, no matter, you know. And unfortunately, our community, I feel like we're stuck in this perpetual cycle of the same regurgitated topics, we're seeing the same content. We're seeing the same people, the same, do you know what I mean? The same things that happen all the time. And it's keeping us stagnant.
Yeah,
it's on purpose.
Yeah,
it's on
100%.
purpose. Because I was randomly looking at another podcast, a few of them, and I was going back into their catalogue, and I'm seeing these same conversations were had in like 2010s, like early 2010s, and we're now in the 2020s, and we're still talking about the same things, the same topics, the same relationship topics, the same, like we've not moved.
Umar said it best. Umar said it best, man. That all of these things, rap included, has been commandeered to facilitate the extraction of wealth from the black community. Because we're not rich. Facts, we're not rich, cool. No one's rich. However, we spend more money on everything than everybody else. Everything. We buy more Mercedes. I mean, he was talking about America, but in America, the black man buys more Mercedes than the white man in America. The black man in America is maybe what, 10%? So 10% of Americans buy more Mercedes than 90%.
Crazy.
What? Doesn't make sense. But then when you think about what the money can do versus what it's doing, you're like, oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah. You've given me another topic for next week.
What are you thinking?
I have a title in mind, yeah. It's controversial. The topic in my mind is that black people should be racist.
Interesting.
Black people need to be more racist. We're going to leave it there,
We'll leave it right there. Yeah.
We'll leave it there. The reason why that popped into my mind is because you were talking about Dr. Umar and how black people spend their money and stuff like that. And I think the direction that I'm thinking to go in is about black people and capitalism and all that stuff. So maybe that
I hear it.
That might clarify how I got to the title.
Yeah. No. I hear it.
But yeah, people, then we're gonna close it off there because we've been talking for. I mean, you won't get to see the 2 hours.
Yeah, we've been rapping.
I'm gonna chop it up. But we've been talking for a long time. My mouth's dry, my water's done. So
I didn't even have a drink. You know, I'm actually not too bad.
Plus, I've got a guest coming, and I want to.
You know about them guests, you know.
Why are you talking like that? Doesn't make sense. Why are you talking like that?
Guests on that.
What's that? It's just a friend.
That means guests on that. You get me?
I didn't do that. Did I do that?
My mouth's dry and
my mouth is dry. My water's done. Like it's finished. Yeah, water's done. We've had 2 bottles. It's finished.
Need to get them melons in and that. You know, a mango and that. Period.
First of all, it's not that kind. It's not that kind of guest.
Period.
Guys. We've been running this podcast for almost 2 years. We're almost hitting 100 episodes. I can't believe it. I can't believe that I haven't irritated Venom to the point where he said he ain't doing this no more. Just yet. I know I'd be annoying. Sometimes I do it on purpose, but I know I'm annoying.
I can see you doing it on purpose. But
sounds like someone wanted to get that off their chest.
You know, but period. But you know, we moved.
Someone wanted to get that off their chest. But anyway, guys, we've actually been picked as one of the top 35 London funny and comedy podcasts. So top 35 by Toby's drinking water like he's never drunk water before.
Oh man, I can't hear it. I can't hear it. He's getting flashbacks.
Why is his mind in the gutter? Venom's mind. Wait, Toby. Before Toby rudely interrupted us. So yeah, top 35 London funny and comedy podcasts. We ranked at 17. We want to give a shout out to FeedSpot for recognizing us and for giving us the ranking. The way that they do it is they base it on views and interaction from our subscribers and followers and stuff like that. So for us to be at number 17 out of 35 is a big deal to us.
Big deal.
And just for context, there's some bigger named podcasts on there, and one of my favorites is actually ranked at number 7. So for us to be 17, just 10 steps behind, I don't know, I'm a bit gassed about that. And
it means we coming for you. It means we coming.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like,
period.
Obviously, we got there because I'm funny. So I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
want to
yeah.
thank all of you guys for laughing at my jokes. You know, there's me being annoying again.
No, that was cool. You could try around with that one. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, like obviously, like me and my one-liners and my facial expressions and stuff. I get it. I've got comedic timing. I know all of that stuff. I get it. But no, honestly, guys, thank you for supporting us already and so far, and hopefully soon we'll be itching up to top 10, top 5, number 1.
We're 17 this year. Next year, we're going to be in top 5.
Within a year, we're gonna have would have gone past the 100 episode mark. Can you believe it? I believe we've been meeting up.
The next time FeedSpot does this poll ranking thing, top 5 unpicked, just know. Just know.
I need to step up my comedic.
Yeah, you need to get in the lab with some writers and just take Dami Zayn to the next level.
Do you know what's funny? I don't have writers. It's all natural. Do you know what I mean? It's literally organic. It's organic. I don't sit there thinking, what joke am I going to pull today? What facial expression am I going to pull? It just happens, you know what I mean?
Get me.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode, please like this video. Please give us a 4 to 5 star rating on the audio platforms. If you are new, hit the subscribe button. All that good stuff. We're going to love you and leave you. Until next week.
Look at me. Wrong eye and all that. Peace. Man's covering the eye that's blinking. I said,
not you doing Illuminati signs on the podcast.